Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, it's full steam ahead for two major rail projects. We'll revisit some Hoosier destinations we featured throughout the year, including an Anderson distillery, a botanical-themed hotel, a more than century-old glass company, a coal mine with new life in Greene County, destination dining in French Lick, and a small-town pizzeria with a big-time reputation. We'll also check in with our partners at the IBJ on the biggest business stories of the week. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Two major commuter rail improvement projects in northwest Indiana remain on track. South Shoreline's double tracking project from Gary to Michigan City and the 8.5-mile extension of the West Lake corridor from Hammond to Dyer are moving forward. South Shoreline President Mike Nolan joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick with an update.
Put this in perspective for people outside of Northwest Indiana. These projects, big, called transformational, and they've been literally talked about for decades. How monumental is the fact that on the double tracking, you got the final contract approval and things are beginning to move?
It's huge. This project has been envisioned for decades, and it really unlocks the potential we have to access the Chicago market that's been sitting there waiting for us to take advantage of for so many years. And now we can make our train times so much quicker to and from Chicago. We can add more frequency of service, and our on-time performance will be excellent. And that's what this project is going to do. And when that happens, it means opportunities for people to come over here and take advantage of the great things Northwest Indiana has and leverage all the wonderful placemaking, tax climate, quality of life things that we've really invested in over the years.
Yeah, talk about the project, the double tracking. Mike, 16-mile path essentially is going to be double tracked and the impact that's going to have on time. I know you're adding additional trains as well.
Sure. I mean, right now, what we have in this corridor that you mentioned between Gary and Michigan City is essentially a railroad that runs two-way traffic on a one-way street. And so when a train is going one direction, another train can't pass it alongside if it's going slower, or if a train's coming the other direction, it's got to wait in a siding. So by having two tracks, we can move trains back and forth, and we can run express service. We can manage around delays if there's a delay on one train line, and we can really open up opportunities to add additional trains that we can't today because of the lack of infrastructure that's on the system.
Yeah, let's talk about the other major project, nearly $1 billion project, the West Lake extension, an 8-mile extension of the South Shore, and what that ultimately will mean to the region as well.
Sure. The West Lake Corridor was a vision that was started in the mid-'80s. Pete Visclosky, our former now retired congressman, championed it for years. It really opens up transit to the Chicago market from an underserved area in Lake County. When you go over and you look at the Chicago system, there's 11 lines that radiate out of Chicago into the suburbs. Here in Northwest Indiana, we had one line serving the third largest business climate in the country, 8th largest in the world. And so by opening up and developing this new train line in Lake County, we really open up opportunities to get the higher paying jobs in Chicago and then come back and spend that higher dollars in Northwest Indiana. It really is an opportunity for our community and for our residents.
Yeah, I know you were seeing a big impact down the road, but you're actually, as we were talking off camera, already beginning to see some movement, people moving from Illinois over to Northwest Indiana in anticipation of this better connectivity and, investment, private sector investment as well.
Absolutely. Really, frankly, Gary, once the funding was locked up with the commitments from Governor Holcomb and the General Assembly, followed up by the federal government signing a full funding grant agreement, once people knew that the money was there and real, then that's when things really started to heat up. There is a tremendous amount of private sector development, and there are people here who are just clamoring for the opportunity for this new service to start. They're not waiting for it to get here. People are already anticipating the need or the opportunities that this new service is going to provide.
Yep. Have about 30 seconds, Mike, but give us the updated timeline, if you will, on both the double tracking and the Westlake extension as well.
Yeah, we've gone from if to when. We're now in the pardon our dust mode. So for the next 2 years on the double track project on the main line, and the next 3 years for Westlake, we are going to be a major construction company. Several thousand construction jobs will be out there in force building this railroad. And in the spring of 24, we'll open up the new service for double track. And a year later, in the spring of 25, we'll open up Westlake for some significant new commuter rail opportunities, better service serving Northwest Indiana. We're really excited.
All right. Transformational projects indeed coming to life after many, many years. Mike Noland is the president and general manager of the South Shoreline. Mike, as always, welcome. And we look forward to following up with you in the future.
Happy to do it, Gary. Good talking to you. Merry Christmas.
All right. Merry Christmas to you as well.
We spent 2021 taking you throughout Indiana to profile Hoosier businesses and destinations in our Around Indiana segments. Reporter Mary Rachel Redmond joined us with more on how Hoosier entrepreneurs are making an impact in their communities. Let's now revisit several of the spots we hit throughout the year. Brothers Jason and Jared founded Oakley Brothers Distillery in Anderson in 2018. We learned more about how their dream started on the Inca Trail in Peru and wound up becoming a popular destination in Madison County.
Born and raised in Madisonville, Kentucky, you could say bourbon was in their blood from the beginning, and now it's their business. Two brothers, a barrel, and a dream.
My brother and I kind of were playing around with it, doing a little garage exploration, and then we started making whiskey and learning techniques of barrel aging.
We went to Machu Picchu and hiked the Inca Trail. We were actually trying their spirits, and we found that our conversations kept leading into, hey, we should open up something.
That same year, the two Oakley brothers found themselves on yet another excursion, this time on motorcycles in the Smoky Mountains.
Yours truly had a flat tire right at dusk.
And we were stuck.
In waiting hours and hours for a tow truck, the plan was hatched.
And we actually talked it out right there. Let's do it.
And there it was. Come hell or high water, Jared and Jason were going into business together, making small batch booze.
By 2011, and if we were going to do it, this is our time to do it.
And before long, the duo was distributing its own bourbon products to area liquor stores. Then opportunity came knocking in downtown Anderson.
Didn't have really any dedication to Anderson other than we were initially in Edgewood, but we had an opportunity to take over this building. It is a metropolitan area and it is a growth area that is starting to revitalize.
Oakley Brothers Distillery officially opened its doors in 2018. The renovated space now features a cocktail bar, lounge, and ever-expanding production operations. The man that makes the magic happen back here.
And there you have it.
Master distiller and face of Mullet Head Bourbon, Eric Hodson.
It's a 500-gallon tank. When they're done in here, I move them over to the fermentation tank. We'll transfer it on over to the still here. When it gets heated up and it gets up to about 190, 195, that's when it'll start through the process of distilling. Then this is the chiller that cools it back down, turns it back into liquid alcohol, and then it comes out here. There's heads, the beginning of it, which is poison, basically. And then I start tasting it and smelling it for the hearts, which is what I keep. It's a pretty simple process, very fun to do.
And by all accounts, delicious too.
We concentrate on bourbons. We also do a really nice agave whiskey, which is basically an American tequila. We do liqueurs like limoncello. We've been known to kind of get a little on the edge and do absinthe.
And perhaps Oakley Brothers' biggest claim to fame, they're the very first to legally produce moonshine in the state of Indiana.
One of our really big sellers is the apple pie moonshine, which is a traditional old school recipe, and that stuff sells by the pallet.
And as a wise man once said, behind the success of every small business, there's a family. In this case, two brothers, realizing a dream and making it happen.
Being the older brother, sometimes the younger brother can get under your skin, but it's still good times. He's a way better salesman than I'd ever be. I'm a little bit more of the operational side of the house, but it takes both parts to make the package. I'm proud to do this.
Great bunch of guys, and I will tell you, I did try that moonshine. Delicious.
Northeast Indiana's newest boutique hotel opened its doors for guests earlier this year. Fort Wayne's botanical-themed Bradley Hotel is one of the city's newest additions to its waterfront revitalization efforts.
Nearly 40 years ago, she started a company that continues to bring bright patterned luggage and handbags to the masses.
Vera Bradley.
Now the genius behind the iconic Vera Bradley line has officially opened downtown Fort Wayne's first boutique hotel.
I've lived in Fort Wayne now for over 40 years, and we were just missing that element of a city, and I didn't think there was anything that really represented who we were.
So after retiring as chief creative officer for the Fort Wayne-based lifestyle brand in 2017,
I think of these things.
Mind you, in her late 70s, Barbara Bradley Backer decided it was high time to embark on her 30-year dream to build a hotel that reflected her own home in the heart of downtown.
I was in the company every single day for 30 years. And then as we got bigger and we hired other people to do some of the things that I did, I could get away a little more. So then I started having these other ambitions, like why not do it now?
And that she did. The Bradley is a $30 million full-service boutique hotel that features 124 guest rooms, 9 suites, and a host of public spaces, including 2 restaurants and a rooftop bar.
Restaurant, it's called Birdie's. Yeah. And there's a special reason why it's called Birdie's.
Well, my grandchildren call me Birdie. My oldest grandson nicknamed me Birdie because when he come to my house, I had prints, fabrics, and my dinnerware had birds on it. So when they say we're going to Grandma's, he'd say, "Oh, Grandma Birdie." So it stuck. And now I have 12 grandchildren. They all call me Birdie.
That's kind of the inspiration here too.
When you come off the elevator here, you see some bird prints, which is really fun. I know, it's cute, it's fun. This is your typical guest room.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And I can already see the headboard. That is very vintage Vera Bradley.
This would be like you're coming into my home and staying in my house.
So did you personally pick out what's in each room?
I did.
You've got great taste, I must say.
It looks Vera Bradley without screaming Vera Bradley. It's more of a wink than a shout.
So in terms of color schemes, is it a lot of blues?
I always say blue always works. I said God knew what he was doing. Blue works for decor. I don't think there are many people that walk into a blue room and don't think it feels cozy. I'm really proud of the bathrooms. The showers are amazing. The hardware on the showers. Yeah. Wouldn't you be pleased to check in here?
Yeah. Can I punch my ticket?
Yeah. You can make a reservation. Yeah.
Barbara staying in town and her commitment to our city, I think, speaks volumes about her. I've already talked to a number of CEOs who bring in important people to stay in our community for a few days. They're very excited about this new offering.
I wanted something that when people were in here, they felt they knew where they were at Fort Wayne. And then when they leave, they have a memory of Fort Wayne. And that was one of my goals.
Lots of big things and big projects there in downtown Fort Wayne. The Bradley is definitely a place to go visit.
Kokomo Opalescent Glass has been manufacturing colored glass art and architecture for more than 130 years. The company's work can be found all over the globe, from cathedrals to Disney World. We visited this feast for the eyes in Howard County.
People have been making glass, going all the way back to very ancient times. We're talking ancient Egypt. The Romans were very good at it. The Babylonians did it.
And Hoosiers. It all started in the late 1880s when word of a natural gas boom reached Brooklyn glass chemist Charles Henry.
When he heard about the Indiana gas boom and the availability of free natural gas, he moved out here to Kokomo and set up shop. And to this day, we continue to manufacture using the same recipes and the same techniques that he did.
So this hasn't changed much since 1888. This is the original
building? No, this is the original building here. And really the whole complex is pretty much as it was.
Kokomo Opalescent Glass is the oldest glass manufacturer in America. Its very first customer, a guy by the name of Louis Comfort Tiffany. famous for his stained glass windows and the iconic Tiffany lamp.
Tiffany was the biggest customer for the first 20 or 30 years. The glass that he bought from us would have looked just like these. These are the same colors. We still use the actual rolling machines that his glass was made on.
You can find their glass in some of the most recognizable places around the globe, from the White House to the Vatican.
We're in all the Disney parks. Some people estimate that we're in about 75% of the world's churches. We got a call 2 years ago from the maintenance manager at Mount Vernon. Had a pane of glass cracked. So they were able to supply us with a drawing, and so we made a replacement pane of glass, the same way they did in colonial times. And so we're in George Washington's house too.
And nearly a century and a half since opening its doors, the seemingly under-the-radar operation in Kokomo continues to amass an international list of clientele.
We ship to Japan, Europe, South America. Last year we produced just under 250,000 square feet of glass.
I mean, that's tall.
So what exactly makes KOG a cut above the rest?
The fact that we're producing glass the same way we did in 1888. When a church, a public building, needs their stained glass window repaired, if we didn't manufacture the original glass that's in that window, we have over 22,000 different color and texture combinations.
And you can see for yourself. Factory tours are available weekly, or you can even take a class.
We offer lessons in almost everything we do here. It's hands-on. You're handling the hot glass.
He's not kidding.
And rest it on the windowsill and then rotate clockwise against the wall. Very good. Now go straight over here to the blue. And then you're gonna dip one side, just squish it in there.
Oh, squish it in, okay.
Yeah, squish it in there, and then flip, and then lift. There you go. And then squish it back into the green. All right, now I will take the pipe so you can make sure your right hand doesn't touch it.
Okay, and I just...
You pinch and grab and pull. And then move it around. And then tag it down, and then pinch and pull some more.
And in some ways, the history of the company is just as fascinating as the glass.
We're a big part of the region's industrial heritage. You look at our connections with Tiffany and other well-known artists. We're a huge part of America's artistic heritage.
This place is absolutely incredible, whether you're into glass or not, and I think it might be my most favorite stop from 2021.
Morgan County is home to an all-in-one manufacturer of wine, beer, and spirits. Mary Rachel sampled the food and drinks at Cedar Creek Winery and Brew Company.
Where can you find a winery, brewery, and distillery all in the same spot? In Indiana, there's only one answer.
Welcome to Cedar Creek. We distill our mistakes.
Hidden in the vast canopy of trees in Morgan County, just a quick jaunt off 37, is Cedar Creek. Undoubtedly unique and the brainchild of the Elsner family.
We bought the property back in 2010, started building all the buildings out here.
First came Cedar Creek Winery.
After being here at the winery 4 or 5 years, people would make the comments of, we prefer beer rather than wine. That thought crossed of, why not do beer? We have a winery, let's do a brewery. Let's jump into it.
And they did just that, and then some.
We opened the brewery in 2015. Then my sister, she opened up our distillery in 2016.
One of the things that we're most predominantly known for is our flavored rums. We do a variety of signature cocktails. These are our shared cocktail and spirits flights.
So it's not just booze. You can actually do a cocktail.
We do like a pina colada, an apple, a blackberry.
Where's the pina colada? Oh, it's cute. It's got a little handle.
Little mason jar style.
That's delicious. And there's alcohol in there?
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll find you. It'll find you if you keep drinking it. I promise. Probably the most popular thing that we got going right now is our single batch bourbon expressions. Each one of these came out of a different barrel, and so you can get a kind of a different flavor note just from how it was aged or how we ended up working with the environmental conditions on that barrel.
So does it taste good straight?
Absolutely. I love it. It's fantastic.
120 proof?
Oh yeah, go for it. So, cheers to you.
Cheers. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Cedar Creek has also launched its own boutique cigar brand.
So they are all going to be hand rolled down in Honduras. All the tobacco's grown in Honduras, Nicaragua. Our blends, we've geared more towards smoking cigars with drinking beer.
Almost like a wine tasting, right?
Yeah.
Wine and cheese?
Yes. Yeah,
Cigar and beer?
we wanted it to pair well.
And as if all that wasn't enough, the Morgan County venue will begin its annual Drink at the Creek series.
Within the state, we're probably one of the largest private entertainment venues available. Fantastic music. Very, very few places have everything like this. It's family friendly from front to back. You can have your children anywhere on the grounds here. If you want a cocktail, if you want a beer, if you want a glass of wine, you can find everything on one site.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. A vacant coal mine in Greene County is getting new life as a farm-to-bottle craft distillery. And as you'll hear in this report, the redevelopment of the old Landry mine is also providing jobs to former coal miners.
Mid-19th century Indiana. The Wabash Valley booming with black gold.
It supplied a majority of our power in the region, basically the energy that all of us used in Indianapolis for many years.
While coal remains king in Indiana, it's not a question of if, but when Hoosier mines are permanently shuttered, like this former Landry mine in Jasonville.
This is where the former coal mine was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the guys, they would enter the mine about 15 feet below that water.
So looking around, I see up over here, now that looks like coal to me.
Mm-hmm. That is. So there was 2 coal seams here. This mine alone provided over 100 jobs. The number of coal mines that have went bankrupt in the last 3 years and the number of people that have lost jobs, what we wanted to do is bring a real solution to a real problem.
That solution? A farm-to-table craft distillery.
It looks hilly ahead of us.
Uh-huh.
That's all going to be flat?
It'll all be flat.
The co-founders of Land Betterment Corp gave me a tour of the 22-acre property that they acquired over a year ago from a defunct New York hedge fund.
So this old material is just left, not in the right state.
You're supposed to do environmental cleanup as you mine coal. You have potential for acid water in the downstreams, you have afflicted wildlife, and more importantly, the community can never use the property again. And when they walked away, not only was there post-mining cleanup needed, there's 5 years of excess debris we had to go through.
So we'll move all that to its proper location, which is what they're doing right now with the dozer and our tractor. At the end of the day, our goal is to come in here and clean it up.
Not only clean up the environmental problems, but also the job and the tax-based problems that the community has.
Former coal miners are already chomping at the bit. Meet Joe Wright. He spent the last decade mining at this very site and is grateful for the opportunity.
Worked in the warehouse, and then went and worked underground for 4 or 5 years. It was definitely a downturn for the community, but hopefully this project will bring them back. And it's different jobs, but it's still jobs. It'll continue my employment, so that's good for me and my family.
Not every community has the type of product that fits that industry. Think about a former coal miner. They are great at troubleshooting, electrical circuitry, heavy machinery. A distillery is not that different.
So how much longer is this going to take?
We'll be done with all the remediation over the next 4 months.
So we want the community to support itself, foster new innovation and new businesses, and make folks proud again for their local communities and know that they can make a better life for themselves and their families right where they live.
Great story. Well, I spoke with Kirk Taylor, president of Land Betterment, this week. He tells me they're launching their line of coal craft spirits in early 2022. He also added the site will officially open by next fall.
What began as an idea between old friends from French Lick in 2008 has turned into destination dining with a basketball twist. We headed to French Lick to check out 33 Brick Street, a restaurant that pays tribute to Indiana hoops legend Larry Bird.
It's hard to believe it's been 42 years since Larry Bird led the undefeated Indiana State Sycamores to the NCAA championship to face Magic Johnson and Michigan State. Bird may have lost that game to Sparty, but he would go on to become one of the greatest players of all time with the Boston Celtics. And several decades later, Larry Legend's on-court success still fuels small business in his tiny hometown.
French Lick is known best for one name.
I travel extensively for work, and when I'm talking about the French Lick Resort or this destination, I always get, home to Larry Bird. So that immediately lets people know where we're at and what our trademark kind of is.
Even though it's been almost 50 years since Bird graduated from Springs Valley High School, the Hick from French Lick is still a major player in generating dollars for small business in his hometown.
He has allowed a different kind of tourism. At 33 Brick Street, you can actually get hands-on with a lot of his memorabilia.
33 Brick Street is the brainchild of Tracy Tucker and Danny Weichert, both born and raised in French Lick.
Danny's dad was actually the superintendent of the school here, so that's how they all know Larry.
Yes, that Larry.
They wanted to do something for the area, fun related, sports theme. The area had nothing like this. They'd approached Larry with some plans and said, they were just looking for something unique to put in here, just one or two items. Well, when they got to Larry's, it wasn't displayed, it was in a barn. He was like, take all of this.
The essence of greatness is literally still on this jacket, Larry Bird's original 92 Dream Team warm-up.
His shoes and jacket and everything was still in the duffel bag from the Olympics when it was brought here. Had never been removed.
He called himself the Hick from French Lick, and here in French Lick at 33 Brick Street, you can literally touch history. This is Larry Bird's MVP trophy from the 85-86 season.
This is all his college and NBA tourney championship trophies, all originals.
Just as authentic as the memorabilia is 33 Brick Street's food.
We specialize in tenderloins, our homemade Indiana pork tenderloin, of course, that we hand bread here in-house. Our steaks and burgers are all 100% certified Angus beef. Our fish and chips is a very good hand-breaded fish that is really popular throughout the area. A lot of nice items on our menu.
And if you still don't have your Larry fix after a stop at 33 Brick Street, why not spend the night at the 12-time All-Star's first house he built after entering the NBA? The legend of French Lick Resort is like an 80s time capsule filled with most of Bird's original appliances and even furniture. You can rent the entire 20-acre property that includes
an outdoor pool, there's basketball court, tennis courts. It's a huge house, there's a lot of space. We have 6 large suites. Every one of them have their own personal bathroom. One of them even has their own kitchen.
The owner's suite, Larry Bird's former master bedroom, and maybe just as intriguing, the celebrity suite, rumored to be built just for Magic Johnson when he was in town.
And some may argue this is the court that changed the face of the NBA when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson cemented their lifelong bond, shooting a Converse commercial in the 80s.
When they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP. Okay, Magic, show me what you got.
It's also famous for this clip.
I don't know, son. I don't think you're ever going to make it.
Can't run, can't jump, bad back, pathetic.
People come from all over. We've had people from Australia come just to try on the jacket. I think we do get a lot of business for Larry Bird, yes.
Bird wins it at the buzzer.
That was the very first house Larry Bird built after his rookie season, and you can stay there for just $1,000 a night. Pretty great deal, if you ask me.
For more than 65 years, Greenfield-based Foamcraft has distributed foam and latex to furniture, boat, and RV manufacturers throughout the Midwest. The family-owned company has become a global hit with a transition into kids' furniture. We headed to Greenfield to learn more.
Family-owned businesses across the state have helped fuel the economy while keeping traditions alive. Foamnasium has parents and kids alike going nuts over foam and vinyl climbing toys, building blocks, and foam furniture for toddlers and tweens. I stopped by the Hancock County business to find out what all the hype was about.
My grandfather founded Foamcraft Incorporated in the 50s, and we were always in Indianapolis. So our first showroom was in Fountain Square. And at that time, we were fabricating foam for couches and cushions.
Fast forward nearly 70 years, and today, the third-generation family-owned foam business is producing one of the hottest toys on the market, Foamnasium.
We create foam play sets that inspire active and imaginative play. So that could be anything. It could be couches, it could be big wedges, circles, anything that just allows a kid to be able to build things.
Let's pretend this is my house. Okay. So what do we have here?
Foamnasium.
A Foamnasium. Now, you've told me that this turns into a playground. I don't believe you. How do you do that?
We take it apart and use imagination.
Can you show me?
Sure.
You're a little architect. Look at this.
Foamnasium officially launched in 2010, sparked by requests from local churches and daycares wanting foam play equipment.
When we launched, we were trying to go straight to all daycares, almost daycare catalogs where they have everything they need for a daycare. And
it would be a 2013 trade show, however. That would change everything.
Other way, right?
When the small upstart out of Greenfield, Indiana, caught the attention of the largest internet-based store on the globe.
Amazon had a rep at one of these trade shows who approached us and just asked if we would put our stuff on Amazon, which we of course did.
An online retailer, Wayfair, came along shortly thereafter.
When we first started, we were just trying to get anywhere and everywhere we could. We just wanted exposure.
And patience paid off. Nearly a decade since it launched, the team at Foamnasium saw sales skyrocket in December 2019, making several prominent lists as the holiday must-have for moms and, of course, kids across the country.
Why is it better than, let's say, some of your other toys?
Really squishy, so we can land on it, and then it wouldn't fall. And we could jump on it, and it stopped.
I think kids love it because it allows them to get a lot of energy out and do so in their own mind. They're able to create whatever they want to, and they have total free reign to be able to make something out of big pieces. Kids love big things.
We need to flip this one over.
And big-name retailers clearly love Foamnasium. Earlier this year, the foam play sets launched in Pottery Barn Kids, Bed Bath & Beyond, and will soon be available at West Elm.
And when you get approached by Pottery Barn, it does create almost this recognition for people that this isn't just a mom and pop brand. This is a brand that has clout and has quality and has functionality and everything that you would expect from those retailers.
And the numbers don't lie. Foamnasium produced 40 units in its first year in business. Fast forward to 2021, and the company is shelling out 60 play sets a day. That's 50% more per day now than what Foamnasium did in their entire first year.
I mean, we're shipping out 100 units a day. We could do more if we could produce more, and that's what's been so exciting. It just continues to grow because people love the product.
Fewer than 400 people call Mount Summit, Indiana, home. However, the tiny town between Newcastle and Muncie is home to a pizzeria with a big-time reputation. Mary Rachel went to Henry County to sample 1,000-degree wood-fired pizza.
If you blink, you might just miss it.
How big is the town of Mount Summit?
I've last heard, I think it's around 384 people.
But on weekends, the population of the tiny Henry County town swells to nearly 13 times that.
It's crazy, the people that come through here. I mean, we open the doors and there's a line that never stops on the weekends.
Mount Summit's 1,000-degree wood-fired pizza may just be the peak pizza experience in Indiana.
All of our food is from all over the world.
15-year-old balsamic production from Italy. Wow. A little bottle, that's $65.
The dough that we use in our pizza is made in Italy. It's shipped here twice a week.
This is a Fermani rosemary infused ham.
Our ingredients don't have any sodium, no nitrates, no preservatives.
So what makes this pizza worth the wait? This 7-foot Italian-built wood-fired oven, one of only 2 in the state.
I found an oven that was in Boston, and a restaurant over there had ordered it, and it shifted on this base like an inch, and they didn't want it. So I bought it and picked it up and hauled it all the way here. The center part weighs 8,500 pounds. And there's only 2 real wood-fired ovens in Indiana.
1,000 Degree has more than 20 specialty pizzas on the menu, even pie options for the most health-conscious of customers, offering a cauliflower crust And for carb counters, a pizza crust made completely out of chicken.
And it's 0 carbs and it's 0 gluten. And it's made out of white meat chicken breast and some seasonings and olive oil. That's all it is.
And if you're in the mood for barbecue, they do that too.
We smoke probably 800 pounds of meat a week. We do wings, ribs, pulled pork, brisket.
The pizza and the barbecue is amazing. I mean, I know it's amazing, but the response that we get from people like in other states that have had pizza all over the place, they go crazy.
That is amazing. Literally amazing. Never tasted anything like it. I would drive across state lines for that. That's that good. Not only is the pizza delish, the dining room decor is like sitting in an episode of Antiques Roadshow.
I mean, you've got some amazing collectibles, so why put all this stuff in here?
Well, sometimes we have long waits for people to get their food because we're so busy. Most of the stuff that's in here is from the 50s and 60s. Some people come here just to look at the stuff on the walls that's hanging up.
Since opening in 2016, the pizza and barbecue joint has seen profits go nowhere but up. 2020 brought in record earnings in spite of the pandemic. And Draper says this year, sales are on track to surpass $2 million. Pretty impressive for a guy in retirement with no prior restaurant experience.
You said you've never, ever worked in restaurants.
No.
In a restaurant ever?
Nope.
In the industry at all?
Nope. I've just played with food all my life as a hobby. The people have a good time. They love coming here, and we work really hard to please each and every one of them.
It's not a bad job to get to try pizza and a couple cocktails every now and then, but I will tell you, 1,000-degree pizza is absolutely delicious. That was not me pretending. And the owner also told me he flies in New York-style cheesecake daily. So it's definitely a destination dining place for sure.
And finally this week, Indiana business leaders are heading to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas next month in hopes of making connections that could bring more tech companies to the state. We talk about that and other business stories with IBJ editor Leslie Weidenbenner.
Some positive news, right, when it comes to tourism, such an important part of the Indianapolis area economy. Visit Indy saying, hey, things really did bounce back this year.
Yeah, if you take a look at sports in particular and conventions, FFA was back, PRI was back, and then of course we had the NCAA at the beginning of the year, and so that made for a pretty good year. Yeah, almost back to 2019 levels. Now looking ahead, I know there's some optimism, cautious optimism, I guess, and one big event that's going to really drive it is the college football playoff national championship game early in the year. Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up so quickly after the holidays. I think it's the weekend of January 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. There's going to be a ton of events downtown, lots going on, and that alone is projected to push 2022 over the high year of 2019 in terms of visitors and economic impact. Wow, some positive news there. Consumer Electronics Show, a huge show out in Las Vegas, and I think for the first time, right, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation is going to have a contingent there. That's right. They're going to take a group of people, and then in addition to that, there'll be folks from Agronovus, from CICP, and from several different Indianapolis organizations that are going to go out there and try to sell the city to some of these CEOs and some of the folks that are out there. Yeah, I know Energy Systems Network, I think, involved because of the Indy Autonomous Challenge, the driverless cars we saw at the Speedway earlier. They're going to actually have a race out there at CES. Yeah, and that's how this whole thing kind of got going, was that CES last year, when they did their virtual conference, they actually unveiled the car virtually at CES. And then so what they're doing this year is they're going to have another race there. And this one, actually, the cars will be competing against one another this time instead of just having the cars out on the track. And so Energy Systems Network is also involved in this race, even though it's out in Vegas. So it's really exciting for the state. Interesting to watch. Interesting, too, each and every year when the IBJ comes out with its book of lists. I know people always are anxious to get that. And you're going to have some newsmakers in there as well. Absolutely. So we always profile some of the people who made news for the year. But this year we're actually naming newsmakers. And I can't reveal them yet, but in a week or so, our subscribers will be getting book of lists in their mailbox, and we will have, it's actually 12 people, but it's kind of 7 groups of people who are our newsmakers of the year. Very good. I look forward to that and look forward to this week's edition. Leslie, as always, thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. All right.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.